Buenas. Buenas noches. Buenas tardes. Buenos dias. I'm saying to a cartoon blank, I'm speaking, so you make up a spunky. I'm speaking of the pre-non-evolvednesses. To a cartoon individual, cartoonly pre-non-evolving, non-evolved. I'm saying feelings predicts actions. It's stating at levels subconsciously, subtextually, it's stating all things being equal, they're not. I'm in a really bad mood. I'm feeling moody. I'm feeling a sense of moodiness. Some might call it a non-sense of moodiness. I call it a sense of moodiness myself. Whether justified or non-justified, I'm in a bad mood. Feelings predicts actions, no? No meaning it's not good. No meaning we would like to have a cartoon planet with more cartoon evolutions, no? Where someone could say, yeah, no, I'm not in a great mood. But nobody deserves it. Nobody deserves it, and at a minimum maximum, it's going to be a random spraying. This is outwardist. Anybody that might deserve to be dealt a curt, blunt, offhand, or a direct abrasiveness of statements, quote unquote, cartoonnessly, it's going to be a randomness, and there's going to be many individuals that don't deserve it at all, in every likelihood, that are going to be impacted negativistically, cartoonnessly. I'm going to have to non-err on the side of transcending my bad mood momentarily, long enough to have a 3-second to 5-minute conversations or less, if it's like as I say, standing in a supermarket checkout aisle, or in a department store cashier window, non-window. I'm going to transcend my moodiness momentarily because I am evolved enough to state directly to moi, to myself, nobody precisionally nor imprecisionally deserves my bad moods. Nadie merece mi malhumoradones, of malhumoradonesses. Nadie merece, a nadie le merece mi malhumoradonesses. So I was stating earlier, just before I began this video audio recording, I was saying, feelings predicts actions. So someone might be stating directly, indirectly to the self, I'd like to treat others well. If I felt what? If I felt cartoonly blank myself. Se rime con la palabra swell. If I felt cartoonly blank myself, I'd like to treat others that way of actual ways too. Let's say a very evolved, spiritually, soulfully individual says, even when I'm in a más o menos bad mood myself, I know nobody deserves it to be directly impinged, directly, nor impinged indirectly, by my malestar, by my malhumoradones, of malhumoradonesses. Nadie merece, but in the rarest case, they do deserve something in the way of direct What, something that borders on sassiness? There's going to be a lot of víctimas que no se merece a nada. There's going to be a lot of victims that don't deserve anything. They don't deserve any negativity directed at themselves, at their interior nor their exterior beings. Physically, metaphysically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, cognitively, they don't deserve to be somebody else's Fallout boys or non-boys. You know what I mean? So what am I really speaking about? I'm speaking about individual responsibilities, accountabilities. For one's own emotional, spiritual, functional states. We hope it is. In other words, I hope my behavior is at minimum non-asocially, non-asocial. In the momentary moments where I'm conversing with someone, even if it's momentarily at a checkout lane. Well, I know that my behavior is non-asocially, non-asocial. Most or all of the time. I've done the spiritual work to heal my interior being, my interior fibers has been healed through direct healingness techniques of focused meditative strategies. So I treat others very respectfully in the moment, unless it's somebody that needs to hear how I really feel. So that's not going to be somebody that I don't know at a checkout lane or department store cashier's desk. There's nothing randomness about my occasional externalizations of moodiness. If somebody needs a clear message of how I feel, I attempt to express myself clearly, articulately, and assertively until I feel like those attempts have failed. Someone is not getting the clear message I am deliberately, consciously, awarely attempting to externalize outward the artist, which is I may get more bold and brashly verbosely loud vocally than I would ever desire to cartoonly quote get, end quote, cartoons. It's like when someone says immaturely, they could talk till they're blue in the face, I'm not going to listen. Cartoonnessly. But what happens when we individually, like I feel like I've talked till I'm blue in the face and nobody listens? Or it's the same individual that never seems to get the message that there is healingness that needs to be underway. There are strict boundaries that need to be adhered to in the form of respect for alternate boundaries. So this has everything to do with evolution and soulful spiritual developments of the interior being. Yes, it does. I'm just going to say something weird, like something kind of strange. Like, what if someone said, I can't stand to be in the same room with you, Michael? You just get so passionately fired up on a topic. I can't stand to be in the same room with you. But what if they added, even more strangely, and I dare you not to take it personally, but I cannot stand to be in a seated position even when I'm in the same room with you, Michael. Chris. Okay. Would I take a step back, consciously, awarely, and say, well, they're being extremely, bluntly, sincerely real with me about how they truly, honestly feel. But what would be my, this is very important. What would be my response though? I might actually state, well, as I tend to get occasionally fired up, you might be better off staying away from me. If it really molests you that much, as in it upsets you, bothers you deeply, it bothers you deeply, it upsets you deeply, I would directly state that individual might be better off staying away from me, as they stated they want to and desire to. Because perhaps even more strangely to some individuals, I really do not depend on the company of anybody at all, specifically nor inspecifically. I don't. When I'm 90 years old, I hope I can still say that, but I don't depend on the company of anybody. In other words, I know when people get older, frailty tends to take over at some point. But I'm very thankful for my independence, and I'm thankful for times that alternate individuals were willing to offer help in the form of, whether it be lending a hand when I'm feeling ill, or I'm temporarily disabled, I have an injury or something. I'm very thankful for all of that. I tend to be thankful for anything anyone does for me that they are not in any way obligated to do, which includes what? Pretty much anything anyone does for me is going to include things cartooned, let's say, areas that they are not obligated. They are not obliged. They are not obligated to do anything for me. As in, I'm an adult. And one of my adult responsibilities, as I see it, is to be extremely independent as much as I possibly can be. Fiercely independent at every level is my goal, including fiercely independent, financially independent. But what's my other responsibility? To be extremely, extremely thankful for everything and anything anyone does for me that they did out of kindness. Versus some sense of obligation, which might include a sense of nonsense of obligation. But those that are extremely generous, perhaps will be cartoonly blank. Se rime con la palabra dewarded at some moments in the future. Moments. But my freedom is paramount to me. My deep spiritual, soulful freedomness is paramount to me. There's going to come a time I'm not going to be around anybody a menos que realmente lo desee. That means unless I really desire to. There's going to be nothing up for cartoon blank. Se rime con la palabra rebate. But in this case, I'm going to be taking highest qualities care of myself. Taking high qualities care of myself. Taking high qualities care of myself. As my only real purpose. and as my continual metas, that means goals, but more of a continual fulfilled purpose of purposefulness, moment to moment, here and now, honestly. It really pains me that this existential existence has been so deeply, deeply irresident to my interior being. There has been nothing cartoonly blank about it. There has been nothing cartoonly blank about it. There's been nothing cartoonly blank about it. Se rime con la palabra P-labeled. And there's been nothing that I would not have preconceived, distinctly distinct from what it's, quote, been, unquote, cartoons. And what it is, quote, been, end quote, has been a continual nightmarishness of nightmarishness, cartoons. Rated R. Alphine.